I don't know. I'd say I'm reasonable.
Okay, that's completely unreasonable.
I'm reasonable.
I'm unreasonable.
You have no idea just how reasonable I have been.
Reasonable synonyms are sensible, rational, practical, fair, appropriate.
Fitting, suitable, logical.
All things I would definitely say describe me.
Do they describe you?
Welcome to I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson.
I'm reasonable. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I'm Reasonable. I'm reasonable. Guess what? You see the background. You see it. You see the background. Guess what that means? She's back in her office. I am back in the United States. I'm back stateside. That's what they say. I'm back stateside. Hey, you guys. Welcome to I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson, which is me. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've been here for the past couple of weeks, if you've been here since the beginning, thank you so much for returning. If you're new, hey, what's up? I just finished eating a green apple because I needed some sugar because, once again, I'm taping at 12:56 a.m. Wednesday morning, 12:56 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, because I had shows. I had a bunch to do, and I had shows tonight, which it felt so good being back up on stage at the Comedy Store. It felt so good. I went up after Bert Kreischer. And I really appreciate that he does not want to mess up my name. And so he took his time. It's like, it ain't that hard of a name, but I still appreciate, because so many people just like butcher it, mess it up, try and be funny. But he was like, nope, I'm doing my set and I want to respect this next comedian and I'm going to get her name right. And so here it is. And I really, really do appreciate that. Okay, so now that I'm back stateside, y'all know I got to tell y'all my shows, right? Next week, a week from today, a week from when, I don't know when you guys are watching this, but a week from when this is released, Wednesday, April. Forgive me, you guys, I'm still kind of jet lagged, which is probably why, it's not why I'm up this late, but it kind of is why I'm up this late. Anyway, next Wednesday, or whenever you're seeing this, Wednesday, April 24th, I am working on my new hour. I'm working on that at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. The tickets are available. So make sure you guys get your tickets if you're in the Los Angeles or surrounding areas and you want to see me do an hour, like you've seen me do like 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and you like, I want to really sit down and watch her work for an hour, then definitely come to Flappers Wednesday, April 24th, and come see the show. May 15th, I'll be in Portland, Oregon at Helium Comedy Club. That's May 15th, Portland, Oregon. Then May 23rd through the 26th, I will be in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida. I believe y'all say Duval, right? Or Duval. I don't know. I know it's a county. It's crazy. You know how some people really rep their county, and some people just rep the city that they're from, right? Like, I don't know what county Detroit is in, but they don't be like, what up, though, to the, what up, though? They don't be like, what up, though, to the county. It's just like the city. Los Angeles is actually kind of tricky in that way because we have Los Angeles City and Los Angeles County, and you can be a city in Los Angeles County that isn't Los Angeles City. So like, for example, I'm sure like most of the public knows the city Calabasas because a lot of celebrities live there. The Kardashians live there. Kanye West lives there, I think. And Calabasas is its own city, but it is in the county of Los Angeles. Anywho, all that to say, I will be in, you know what? Let me see what cities are in Duval County, right? Like, let's look at that first of all. I thought I searched it. Okay, so Jacksonville, which is where I'll be. Orange Park, Florida, Atlantic Beach, Jacksonville Beach. If you was in the beach in Jacksonville, you in Jacksonville Beach. Lakeside, Palm Valley, Fernandina. It sounds like what it is. Fernandina, St. Mary's, Kingsland, St. Augustine. I've heard of that. Palatka. I've never heard of that. Palatka. Palatka, Florida. Ooh. Palm Coast, Brunswick, St. Simons, and Gainesville. I've heard of Gainesville as well. So if you're in any of those cities and you want to come to the show, come to the show. Actually, I've had people drive 3-4 hours to come see me. And so if that's the closest that I'm going to get to you, then don't hesitate. I mean, don't do it if it's too much. But if it's not too much, I really appreciate it. All that to say. Memorial Day weekend. So if you did decide to drive, it's like you got the day off on Monday. May 23rd through the 26th, Memorial Day weekend. I'll be in Jacksonville, Florida, at the Comedy Zone in Jacksonville. Then June 14th and 15th, I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. I'll be at Zanies in the Lab at Zanies in Nashville, Tennessee, June 14th and 15th. And then June 21st and the 22nd, I'll be in San Francisco. I'll be at Cobb's Comedy Club. Cobb's is huge, you guys. So I know that San Francisco loves me. It's a city that I love. It is so reciprocal. I need y'all to get those tickets and fill those seats, okay? June 21st, 22nd, San Francisco, Cobb's Comedy Club. July 18th, I'll be in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone. So if you're in Indiana, if you're in Cincinnati, I'll be in Columbus. Ohio. And then the 19th through the 20th, I'm going to go a bit northeast to Cleveland. And I'll be at the Cleveland Funny Bone July 19th and 20th. I really love Cleveland, and I haven't performed in Cleveland in some years. Actually, it was one of my very early headlining gigs, and I had such an amazing time. Last time I was in Cleveland, LeBron played for Cleveland. That was the last time I performed in Cleveland. So Cleveland, definitely come out and see me. July 24th, I'll be back in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Improv in the Lab. We're going to invite some executives and all that type of stuff out to see my hour. Like, who want to buy? Who's trying to buy this, right? So definitely come out to that show and laugh hard. August 22nd through the 24th, I'll be in Chicago. Y'all know I love Chicago. I'll be in Chicago at Zanies, August 22nd through the 24th. September 13th and 14th, I will be in Bloomington, Indiana. This is a first for me. I will be at the Comedy Attic in Bloomington, Indiana. So make sure y'all come out, because this is a first for me being at this club. This is the first time I will be in the state of Indiana, I believe. And so, yeah, definitely come see me. September 19th through the 21st. Y'all know the city I can't never wait to get back to, Chocolate City, Washington, D.C. I'll be at the Comedy Loft. I'll be there the 19th through the 21st of September. So please continue to show me the love that you guys have been showing me. It is greatly appreciated. I'm adding Philly. I know that a Philly date is working out. So if you're watching and you're from Philly and you like, how's she not putting Philly on the list? How's she not putting New York on the list? Those dates are being worked on. Philly, New York, Toronto, Miami, all those dates are being worked on. So just bear with me. Houston, just bear with me, okay? Bear with me. Colorado, these are all cities that I'm working on. But guess what has been confirmed? London. London has been confirmed for November. I will give you guys the exact dates when the tickets are available. But November, London, I'm coming to see you. I was going to try and do an accent. I'm coming to see you. I'm gonna pop over the. I'll be there. So definitely make sure you guys get tickets. As always, the details of anything and everything that I'm giving you guys actionable, I'm making actionable for you guys. It's available in the link in this the details of this podcast. So the link to my website and to tour dates and tickets are right in the details of this podcast, okay? While I have you, before we get into all of the what's up with Z's, who's reasonable, who's unreasonable, ask Z. Before we get into all of that, I just want to take the time to ask you guys to like this video. If you're watching right now, if you're enjoying the podcast, definitely like it. It helps it. So just click on that thumbs up. Click on that thumbs up right now and go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe so that you know when I'm posting stand-up, when you know when I'm posting anything that has to do with the podcast. When I'm posting anything on YouTube, you'll be notified. You'll be notified first. Well, somebody else is like, oh my God, girl, I did not know. Like, why didn't somebody tell me? You have to subscribe. You have to subscribe and then YouTube will tell you. Hi, you guys. Okay, so what's up with Z? First of all, I was in Australia for 3 weeks. Well, technically, I was in Australia. I was in Melbourne, Australia for 2 weeks. Then I went to New Zealand for 4 days. And then I went to Sydney, Australia for 1 day. Love them all. You know, when I was in Melbourne, people was like, all the Melbourne people were like, oh, Sydney sucks. Sydney's not good. Don't go to Sydney. We're the best. And I went to Sydney and I loved it. I loved it. It's my type of city. Totally walkable, great food, seemingly nice people. I was only there for a day. I stayed in the Four Seasons, so that was a very comfortable stay. There were certain things, like things that people said you got to see, right? And so it was like, oh, okay, Sydney has beautiful beaches, but I will be very honest with you. I went to New Zealand first, and I went to the beach in New Zealand. I went to Piha. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just one of them. But I went to Piha. So Sydney is beautiful. But after going to the beach in New Zealand, anywho, people were like, you got to see the Opera House. And I saw it. You know, I a lot of times be feeling like I'm bougie. Like in certain things, I be like, Zainab, are you bougie? Like, are you bougie? And then other times I'm like, I don't get it. You know? And so while I really enjoy taking the ferry, you know, to a beach in Sydney, from the city, from like the CBD, which is the Central Business District, taking a ferry and seeing like that beautiful bridge and because that's what the person at our hotel, that's what concierge was like. You know, a lot of people go to the Opera House and they see it from like land, but the most beautiful way to see it is like from the water. And so we took a ferry to the beach and we had like a really wonderful view of the Opera House. And it was nice, but I don't know if it's like, I don't know. I think in some places, maybe I'm just not cultured enough. Cause I remember a good amount of years ago, my sister and her husband, rest his soul. My sister and her husband, they took me to Paris. And we did a bunch of things, but one of the things that we did was we went to the Louvre. And after a while, I was like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, how many statues and how many rooms and how many, you know, private parts can you see just chopped off? Like, what is this? And then when we got to, what's the most famous thing? Like, what's the thing there? Like the Mona Lisa? Is it the Mona Lisa? Yeah. So when we got to the Mona Lisa, people were ready to stampede. Like, people were ready to walk over people. I mean, they were pushing, shoving, trying to get pictures of this painting, which I hear is not even the real painting. But whatever, we ain't gonna get into that. We ain't gonna get into that. But they were, and you know, I'm tall, so it's like it didn't matter where I stood. I was going to have a good view of it because I'm tall, but I just also happened to be kind of closest to the front. And my sister's shorter than me, so I was like kind of making a way for my sister. And people were pushing and shoving, and I was like, you could have this. This ain't doing nothing for me. I could pull this average ass lady's face up online. Like, I don't get it. I don't get what's the big deal. So I'm saying that I think there might be like a little bit of me that, you know, maybe I'm not that cultured. Anyway, So a highlight for me when I was in Melbourne was I had the opportunity to do a sunrise hot air balloon ride. And the company offered it to me, and maybe a couple of weeks before that, I was like, why would anybody take a hot air balloon ride? Like, it seems so dangerous. It seems boring. It seemed like I had just a very negative take on it. And that's so strange because the moment they offered it to me, I didn't remember the negative take. I was like, oh my God, that sounds beautiful. And I checked in with my friend. I was like, is this something you're interested in? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we did it, and it was fantastic. And I was afraid. When it first happened. I'm going to actually show you guys this view. This view was... Let me just rotate and above the cloud. Yo, I gotta say this, like, I don't drink or do drugs or anything like that. So I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I would never go up there if I was on any sort of substance. And the reason is because I was completely sober. I was so sober and clear because not only do I not do any extracurriculars, it was Ramadan. I was very clear. And the sun was rising, so I was very clear. And still, when we got up there above those clouds looked so soft and so thick. I was like, dang, I just want to get out this hot air balloon. I just want to get out and walk on the clouds. And then right when I thought that, my right mind was like, girl, but remember, there's still 4,000 feet of air below them clouds and nothing to stop you from falling 4,000 feet and slamming into the concrete. And you over a bunch of farms, so it's probably going to be hard grass and cow manure. So I can only imagine if somebody is like on shrooms or something like that, any sort of psychedelic, and you up there, I just would not recommend it. Sorry. So we took this hot air balloon ride, and it was really fantastic. But what I was afraid that it would be like turbulent, like taking off and landing. And it was like the smoothest experience. It was not anything like I expected. But the thing that shocked me, right, was there was this woman who did not speak English. And we didn't discover that she didn't speak English until she was not following any of the directions. And the directions aren't like, when you're on a plane and they're like, in case of an emergency, the oxygen mask are going to drop down and, whatever. They weren't instructions like that. It was like, okay, this is a group effort to take off and a group effort to land. And our weight and our weight distribution is very important. And so you group of people, you have to be on this side of the hot air balloon. You have to be on this side. You're essentially getting into a big basket. And we need the people who are really agile to go first. The people who will have no problem climbing into it. We need you to go first, because once the balloon is inflated, it wants to take off. And so we have to actually use our weight and evenly distribute our weight so that the balloon doesn't just float off with the pilot. And so there's instructions on how you have to hold on, bend your knees in a certain type of squat when you land, and it might still tumble and roll off, and how you can't get out because the moment you change the weight distribution, now the balloon go floating off. When I tell you this lady understood none of that, I couldn't believe it. And then there were some younger people of her same ethnic makeup, and they realized it and started translating for her. And I thought, wow, what would make her do this, knowing she didn't speak the language? That's a little bit wild to me. And I even thought, while this company, I thought that they were a great company. It's like, to me, it seemed like something this should be verified because so much is involved. Look at the videos. Look at what we had to do. I don't know. Am I being? I'm not at all trying to exclude someone just because they don't speak the same language. But I don't think I would have gotten into a hot air balloon in another non-English speaking country by myself with no translator on my phone, with no, like, I don't think that I would have done that. Also, it was like a liability because every time she did something wrong, every time she didn't follow directions, I like somebody had to be aware of her. It was like having a child. But listen, she took all the selfies. She took all the selfies. Okay, so this other thing that happened, there was this lovely family that was in the hot air balloon with us. And we, afterwards, after the hot air balloon ride, we ended up going to like a vineyard, I believe, or like a country club or something. And they had like a buffet. Of course, I didn't eat because it was Ramadan and the sun was up at that point. But so I just sat there and like did some work on my phone because I was on Wi-Fi. And I started talking to one of the families that they were an American family, also visiting. You know, they were visiting a bunch of wonderful places that they told us they were visiting. Hawaii, Fiji Islands. You know, that like it seemed like it was a really good trip. They had done New Zealand and whatever. And so we started talking, and the mother, older mother, she, meaning like these weren't kids, they were all adults. But so the mother, she mentioned pickleball. She was like, "Oh, are you aware of pickleball?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was telling my friend had like, wasn't, you know, like seemed like she wasn't aware. And I had reminded her of why I knew she knew what pickleball was. And then this woman said, the most unreasonable thing I think I've heard in that entire trip, I think. She said that pickleball was going to eliminate tennis. And I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, it's going to eliminate tennis." And I said, excuse me? And I was working in my phone. So at first I was just like, you know how you listening to somebody casually, you ain't really invested in the conversation, but you're, you know, there. And I just want to also make clear, like, these were lovely people. They even came to my shows in Melbourne. Like, let's say we had the balloon ride on Friday. Saturday, they were at my shows. I didn't get to see them at my shows, but my friend, she saw, because I didn't come out at the end of the show. So she like we didn't come out at the end of the show, that show. And so my friend saw them and was like, "Oh my God." And she was like, "Yeah," you know, so they were great, lovely people. But I thought that was a wild statement. And I asked her, I said, "Wait, what do you mean?" And she was like, "Yeah, you know, it's turning professional. It's doing really well. And it's going to eliminate tennis because it's much easier to do." And I was like, first of all, we know who dominates tennis. Even if it ain't Venus and Serena Williams, we know that tennis like would love to just be white. Tennis would love to be White, 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 white. But some years back, 2 wonderful black girls came in and shook shit up. Won everything, took every title, took every medal and championship and cup or whatever they get, they took it home, right? And then after when it was time for them to, move into a different place in their lives, become mothers and philanthropists. I was trying to think. I'm like, I know Venus does something very specific too. It was time for them to move on to the next part of their journey. And you thinking like, ooh, good, them 2 black girls gone. We about to be white again. And then a little black and Asian girl came and was like, oh, sorry, we're still here. And then when she decided to be with a rapper and have a baby and be like, you know what, this is too much. The press is always in my face. I don't really have time for this. I'm really just trying to live my life on my own, accord. So I'm going to go over here. Then another black girl named Coco was like, you'll have to wait a little bit longer, right? So that's one thing. That's one thing that I'm just going to acknowledge and say, right? But also, why would tennis is a, I mean, you don't have to play tennis professionally, but why would something easier replace a professional sport that people have for years worked, dedicated their lives to be good at? Like who would ever, doesn't that defeat the purpose of pro level athletics? Like since when are we just saying, you know what? Mediocrity is, let's just be mediocre. Let's just be mediocre because that's what's best. And that way everybody could do it. And let's just make everybody professionals. And that just doesn't, it's almost like, it's like if they stopped giving singers record deals and was like, you know what? No, no, Beyonce, no, Jennifer Hudson, no, Adele, no. You know what? We're going to karaoke bars and we're giving people who are just okay. And I know there are like legit singers that have beautiful voices in karaoke bars, but we're giving people who are just okay, that can get up and kind of perform someone else's hit song pretty well. We're going to give them the record deal. What? I thought that was the most unreasonable thing. I don't know. But for someone to like what that, I don't know. It just, I just can't wrap my mind around getting rid of a professional level game and replacing it with some elementary novice version of it. That seems like it seems like we're reverting. That seemed like Make America Great Again, which is not great. All right, let's get into these stories. Let's get into these stories. All right, so the first story that I'm going to talk about today is Hannah Waddingham. We might all know Hannah from Ted Lasso. That's where I know her. I know she's been in a lot of other stuff, but I think probably her biggest role is Ted Lasso because that's where she's winning all of these. Like she's winning, Emmys and things. So she's from Ted. She's the actress from Ted Lasso. She, gets a divorce from her husband, and she ends up owning the team that Ted Lasso is coaching. Anyway, she was in London at an award show, taking pictures, posing for paparazzi, and a male photographer says to her, "Show some leg. Show us some leg." And on like a social level, a respect level, that seems like an unreasonable thing to say to a woman, especially a man saying it, right? Like show some leg, right? And when I looked at the picture, right, and of course I'm going to add the picture. You guys see the picture. Now I got to add it right here since this is where I'm pointing to. But I looked at the picture, and at first, all I saw was the long dress. Like the angle that I looked at the picture from, I'm like, damn, even on a fashion level, that's a very unreasonable thing to say because it's just a long gown. Like if she wanted to show some leg, she would have wore a dress that shows leg, right? That's like a man having on a shirt, a tie, or a bow tie in a tuxedo jacket, and you like, show us some chest. It's like if he wanted to show you some chest, he wouldn't have put that shirt on. And so I thought that like, yeah, that's crazy. Like I don't even need to go as far as like sexism and inappropriate and how dare you say that to a woman and, you know, don't tell me what to do with my body. I ain't even have to go that far. I was like, just fashion. Like usually dresses that want you to show some leg, they're either shorter or they got a nice little split. Then I looked at the picture again. Which is why it's important to check and double check and triple check before you get out here running your mouth, right? I looked at the picture again and I was like, oh, the dress does have a slit. The dress has a slit all the way up to the middle of the thigh. And so it's not unreasonable for him to be like, show us some leg. Cause it's just like, I'm just here with Getty Images. The Getty Images of London, if it's different. And I'm just trying to get the best picture. I'm just trying to get a picture that's clickable. I'm just trying to get a picture that people are going to want to buy because that's what happens when these photographers take all these pictures of, you know, the paparazzi, the record. They just sell the pictures, even if they're selling it back to you. So, or they license the picture, right? And so it's not unreasonable for him to be like, show us some leg. But given the re-education that we're having, you know, in terms of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, behavior, behavior between the genders, you know, like just respect for people's autonomy. Like, it's like, yeah, so before you ever saw her, before I realized there was a split in the dress, she had a fitting. She had a whole fitting and chose the dress that she has on. She put it on. She knows. She knows that the dress has a split. So if she's standing the way she's standing there for a reason. Maybe she was going to show you some leg, but then you jumped the gun. Maybe you came out the gate too quick. It's almost like when a woman is walking down the street feeling real good, and before she could even give you a half smile, you should smile. You would be prettier. Guess what? We're not going to smile. You've just ruined the smile for you. You've ruined my smile for men for the rest of the day. So you can say, I think also too, there's different ways to say it, right? Like if you wanted her to show some leg, you know, you could have been like, oh, Hannah over here. Yeah, fierce. Oh, sex. Show, you know, like, oh, the dress. Oh, wow. And you know, I see those beautiful legs. Like maybe, I don't know if that would have been okay, but that would have been better than just commanding her to do something. And who knows what state of mind she was in. You know, everybody has their lives, right? She could have been arguing with her boyfriend or whoever she's seeing. I don't know. She could have been like, damn, I've been so busy, I forgot to shave my legs. Or dang, I got this, damn, my knee is swollen and I chose the dress with the split in it. Like, you don't know what's going on with her life. So whatever she got going on, whatever baggage she got in the back of her head, and she's out doing press for whatever project she has in the works, or whatever project she's promoting, and she out there trying to, you know, ignore what her real life is doing and take and give the press a couple of pictures because she's obligated to promote whatever she's promoting. And then some guy that she don't know behind the lens is like, show us some leg. But here's her response.
Oh my God. Oh my God, you can never say that to a man. Don't be a dick, otherwise I'll move on. Don't say sorry.
You're welcome. Thank you, you too.
I That's what I liked. I'm like, you know what? I mean, she said it. Now she did say she did get upset, right? And then she walked off. It was like he ruined it for everybody, right? So I just watched that and I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna ask my I'm reasonable folks, do you think that was reasonable or unreasonable? Like, who do you think was wrong in that situation? Who do you think was the most reasonable or unreasonable in the Hannah Waddingham paparazzi photographer scenario? Okay. So apparently former President Donald Trump was falling asleep in court. And just look at this picture. Let me tell you, they lucky his head. I try not to talk about people's looks, and I definitely don't try to lean. If I am going to roast somebody, I try not to lean into things that are inevitable for us all, right? So I try not to lean into like ageism or poverty or infertility or anything like that, or like skin. You know what I'm saying? Like things that we can all at any moment be like afflicted with, right? Mental illness, just stuff like that. I don't want to talk about what this man looked like, but get into the bags under them eyes. Like it ain't a concealer or he need 2 ice packs. They lucky his head didn't slam into that wooden desk. That's how them bags look like he is carrying Costco level groceries. And I mean, that doesn't surprise me. He's battling multiple indictments. He's battling multiple court cases. All while he's already been found guilty and having to pay massive amounts of money. All while he's trying to run for president of the United States of America. And he got his quips. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still trying to be cool. Like all of that stuff. So I'm not surprised. Like, yeah, this makes sense. That's I would be tired too. I'm tired doing much less seemingly, but those bags, I mean, I never really seen bags like that. Those bags seem like a whole new part of the face. You get what I'm saying? Like, so we had the cheekbones and we got the nose and we got the eye socket, but then we got just evolutionary, when you tire so much, just evolutionary, we got something new that has evolved on the face. Listen, if ever life gets that stressful for me, to have me looking like, I mean, he's frowning, to have me looking like our former president and current GOP nominee, just send me to Mar-a-Lago. I got to take a nap. Send me to the island in which they are doing the least, because I need to stop down. I need to pause and I need to become Sleeping Beauty. No, let me lie here. Put me in a nice little chiffon gown. Let me lie here until this thing that has evolved on my face goes back. No. This is. Also, they talking about he's falling asleep in court. Court is boring. Anybody ever been to court? Court is boring. Court is not exciting. Only time court is exciting is when we watch it in a freaking 8-part miniseries on FX starring Cuba Gooding Jr. and Courtney B. Vance. That's the only time court is fun. Court is fun when you see in a reenactment of them trying to make the glove fit. By the way, I found out O.J. Simpson died. I found out like 3 days later when I got back to the States from Australia. I'm telling you, it's like a different world. It is like a different world, you guys. I think if I was still in Australia or New Zealand, I'd have never known O.J. Simpson. That news was never going to get there. That news was never going to get there. Anywho, that is the only time court is exciting. But court is boring. It takes a long time. They be saying a bunch of stuff. Then it's a bunch of whispering. It's a bunch of listening. It's a bunch of, redundancy. It's boring for the most part. And then if he got to do it 4 different times, he got to do it every day. Then he got to go out and campaign and do all of that. Then he's on Truth Social. It's like he got to go to the son's graduation. So you doing most of your whole day, every day is filled with every single thing you don't want to do. And y'all like, well, he might be falling asleep. Yeah, I would be falling asleep too. I would definitely be falling asleep. What did I say? Also, I'm like, what notes did I make? Also, I remember feeling bad for Trump. I don't at all. Let's be reasonable, right? I don't feel bad. He's a very unreasonable man. He don't know if he pro-choice or he don't know what he want to do. He just want to win. I remember when I was like looking for a house and looking to purchase a house, and I was being outbid a bunch, Los Angeles is a really competitive market. People have money, interest rates were low, and I just kept getting outbid. And I remember one house that I didn't really love. Like, I didn't really want to live that far. I didn't really love the house. There's so much of it that I didn't love, but I was so tired of being outbid that I was ready to go really outside of what I could afford. And my realtor, who I'm very appreciative of, he was like, you just want to win. He was like, you just want to win because you feel like you've been losing. You feel like you've been losing all the bids, but you've been outbid, but it's just not those aren't your house. Those aren't your houses, He said, but right now you really want to win. And I want to make sure that when you do purchase a house, every day that you come home to it, you are not regretful of the purchase. You're not walking in feeling like you paid more for more than what it was worth. And I really appreciate that. And I just feel like Trump, that's just where he's at. Like, he just wants to win at any cost, at all costs. He wants to win. It's costing. He ain't an attractive man anyway. Like, that was never going to be in his future. But he's definitely not. I mean, you know how they charging for 10 cents for bags in a lot of places in California, they charge for bags. I don't know. Those must be reusable. They're tough. These bags, they are, forgive me. But you know what else I'm thinking? I'm like, ain't nobody on his team. If he is falling asleep in court, he falling asleep in court. They got cameras on him. So, people looking to report something right? People are looking to highlight like him messing up and making a mistake, right? So all the people that you have around, you don't have nobody to bring you some cold cucumbers, some ice cubes, some an espresso with a Red Bull. It just makes me think of when he was president and he had the tissue. Do you guys remember that? When he had the tissue stuck to the back of his shoes? And we watched him on global television. Television sent out all around the world. We watched him walk up all of them damn Air Force One stairs with the tissue on the back of his shoe. Wanda Sykes has a great joke about it in her special two specials back. And nobody, you're the president of the United States of America, and nobody, not one person said, hold on, Mr. President. Hold on. No, not one person was like, wait, cut the camera. Hold on. Let's do this again. Let's reshoot this. He's sitting in court dozing off. his counsel is trying to hand him something, and the counsel can't get his attention because he's literally asleep at the desk, and ain't nobody gonna run out and get him a black coffee? Listen, that's unreasonable. And he don't even really deserve reason, but that's unreasonable. Okay, so before I get out of here, I actually was going to talk about the WNBA because they recently they just had their draft, and that's wonderful for all of those talented women, athletes, those talented athletes. It's wonderful. I've been seeing a lot about like the pay gap. I'll do that on another episode because I do think obviously that they should be paid more. But I don't know. It's just unreasonable to just put out like, oh, we got to close the pay gap amongst genders. It's like, that's an oversimplification of the WNBA versus the NBA. Like, the NBA has 40 years longer in existence than it's a lot. I don't have time right now. So that's maybe something we'll revisit. But before I get out of here, the rappers are beefing. And I normally wouldn't talk about this as much as I'm like, just observing from afar, listening from afar. I would not talk about this, but one really unreasonable thing happened, okay? I could have named this, Why Are We So Unreasonable? But really, I want people to be reasonable. That's what I want. Remember you guys in the first episode, I'm like, I'm looking at my hair. I'm like, in every moment, before we do anything, before we make a choice, before we say something, ask ourselves. Let's just ask, am I being reasonable? Is this the reasonable thing for me to do? Is this a reasonable response? The rappers are beefing. I'm talking about the boy rappers, the male rappers, the XY rappers are beefing. And so I don't know how it started because I don't really know the ins and out of the hip hoppers like that. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just love songs that I love. I'm like a sonic music person, meaning like, I'm fans of a lot of people. Like, I enjoy a lot of people's music, and a lot of people have been so consistent that like I trust, like, oh, when they put out a new project, I go to listen to it and I trust that it's going to be good. And if it's not, I'm just like, all right, well, they've been consistent enough for me to revisit another project, even if one of their projects I didn't like, right? But I'm not really like deep in like the hip hop of it all, like I like music of most genres. But I know none of it. I'm just not a music scholar. But I do know that in hip hop, there's always the discussion of like the top 5 rappers. I know that more recently there's been like, this conversation of like the big 3, right? And I am who I'm talking about. Obviously, you guys know Kenrdrick Lamar, Drake, and Drake's name is Aubrey Graham, right? Yeah, I did know that. And Jermaine Cole, J. Cole. That's crazy. You know how you be like, I don't know, but then you start talking and you like, but I know a little bit. I know all their names. Kendrick Lamar's name is Kendrick. I guess the only real reach was like remembering Aubrey Graham, right? Is that his name? I don't know, y'all. Anyway, so I don't know. Just out of nowhere, I heard a lot of people talking about how Kendrick had a diss track. Kendrick had a diss track for J. Cole and Drake and Future and somebody named Metro Boomin. They got together and they don't trust him no more. They don't trust Drake no more. And Kendrick, did a verse on a track, on an album, and was like, yeah, forget the big 3. It's just big me. And that's fine. That's totally fine for people to be. It's just like we was just talking about tennis, right? It's totally fine for you guys to play in this sport, for you guys to rap lyrics and want to out rap each other and always want to be competing for the title of the best, right? So then J. Cole stepped out real quick and was like, okay, here's a couple of bars. And then I don't think it was appreciated, and he stepped back in. He was like, you know what? I apologize that I came outside. Groundhog said that it was going to be 8 more weeks of winter. Let me go back in the house. Then we waited a couple of more days, and then apparently very recently, Drake released a track that the streets like. So I hear. I've listened to it. I listened to Kendrick's. I really like Kendrick's. I am such a huge. I'm a fan of all three of these guys, Kendrick, Drake, and their music. Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole, but in very different ways. So Kendrick, I think that he's so Kendrick is an artist that most times when I listen to him, I listen to his project all the way through. And every time I listen to it all the way through. Drake definitely had that effect on me in his first few albums. But in the most recent albums, that hasn't been the case. Like, I'll like 1 or 2 songs. I'll like them a lot. Like, I'll have them on like repeat. They can play over and over and over, but I'm not like impressed by the overall project, right? J. Cole, I'll listen to J. Cole in the same way all the way through, because I know it's going to be cohesive. I know he has a message. I know it's going to be some impressive lyricism. But with J. Cole, it's like, okay, I listened to it once, maybe twice, and then I'm like, all right, okay. And then I move on, you know? This ain't really even what I'm talking about. Like, this is just laying the groundwork, right? This ain't got nothing to do. I mean, it got everything to do, but nothing to do with what I'm about to say is unreasonable. Then Rick Ross, who that's to me, that's like the Sydney Opera and the Mona Lisa at the Louvre. I don't get it. But people love it. People love Ricky Rosette. People love I'm the Boss. People love it. I be watching like, can somebody explain it to me? I don't get it. He came out with something too, and then he was talking, and then he got real personal, like not even rapping, just like he said Drake got a nose job, and he was calling him a white boy, and I thought that was like that's new, and also isn't he like Drake does have one white parent, but Drake ain't even ethnically ambiguous, right? Drake just looked like a light-skinned black boy from Canada. Anywho, so as these rap beefs are happening, right? As it's happening, then of course people start to respond to it, and they're responding to one another. The Twitter fingers get to moving, right? The X fingers get to work, right? And so Drake, when he released Push-Ups, right? it is called Push-Ups, like 50 push-ups or something like that. When he released it, he released a picture from a picture of Uma Thurman as her Kill Bill character in the Kill Bill outfit. And it's the scene where she's surrounded by a bunch of people that are about to attack her, because basically Drake is trying to say everybody's ganging up against him. But as we know, the Uma Thurman character in Kill Bill, she wins, right? She ultimately defeats everybody, including Bill, right? So he posts that, and it's like, all right, we get it. We get what you're saying. You drop what you're dropping. You saying what we get the imagery, right? Other people start posting, SZA wasn't, LeBron posted his opinion, what he thought was fire, what he didn't think was fire. SZA posted a picture like, well, how did I, because SZA's name was mentioned by Drake. It was like, how did I get in? People are Twittering, right? They're tweeting, they're Xing, whatever. The Weeknd posted himself, like watching a movie, eating popcorn, whatever. These are all reasonable things. Then Uma Thurman. Uma, who I love. I love Uma Thurman so much that I love her daughter. And her daughter's great. But I love Uma Thurman so much that when I watch her daughter, I love her daughter even more because she reminds me of Uma Thurman, who I love. She's one of my coveted white women. Love Uma Thurman. Uma Thurman, who ain't got nothing to do with nothing and know good and well she don't belong in nobody's hip hop beef. Gonna post a picture of her Kill Bill wardrobe to Drake and be like, do you need this? Uma, first of all, mind your business. Second of all, mind your business. Third of all, mind your business. I know it feels like you're in it because he used you, but baby, you were just a meme. You were just a meme, my love. You were only a meme, okay? Memes are used. Memes are used. Just because a meme is used don't mean you come in a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Stay over. I don't know what you're doing, but it's over there. Mind your business. This is like, you ever move into a new neighborhood or you ever visiting, you ever stay at an Airbnb and you hear a whole bunch of ruckus outside and you come outside talking about what's happening. And then all the people that's involved in the ruckus, they stop being against one another. They turn around, they look at you, they combine. They join forces to look at you because you're the outsider. And they like, what you talking about? And then you realize it was none of your business. And you go back in the house. Uma, who I love. Go back in the house. This has nothing to do with you. This don't, cause I am trying to prevent you from getting. You are innocent bystander. You are just a meme. You are a meme, and they're using and he used your meme to convey something. But for you to come alive, and act like you reloading his gun, act like you providing him the ammo, it's not safe in the streets. It's not safe. And so I want to let you know with love that was unreasonable. And I want you to turn around and go back in the house immediately. Remember when Jennifer Aniston jumped out real quick, agreeing with something Jamie Foxx posted, and then the internet got in her ass. And then she was like, oh, actually, you know what? I don't even know why I did this. Yeah, we don't know why you did it. So Uma, we love you, girl, but you don't have nothing to do with the big three or the big four or the big. You don't got nothing to do with Future, Metro Boomin, Aubrey, Jermaine, Kenrdrick, SZA, The Weeknd. I don't know, you guys. Am I being unreasonable? Let me know. Okay, before I get out of here, let's get into an Ask Z. So I don't think I have enough time for this Ask Z. I don't have enough time for this Ask Z. Okay, I'm gonna do this one next week because somebody sent this to me on TikTok, and it's, whenever I have to talk about like because this is like culturally, whenever I have to be very careful with my words, I like to take a little bit more time because I don't want to say something in the interest of getting the point out quickly, and then I say it insensitively, and then now I'm a me. And I go viral and get canceled. And it's like, I ain't even have no dog in a fight. Like that's the worst part. When you know what I'm saying? When you get attacked and it's like, my dog ain't even in here. You know what I'm saying? So what's another Ask Z? Okay, this is a quick one. Okay, so this person asked her friend if she can, I'm just going to paraphrase it. She asked her friend if she could, her friend invited her on a trip. And the friend was her friend invited her on a trip because she knew she was having like just kind of like a tough time in the past, year or so. And the friend was like, hey, I see these, like inexpensive flights. Let's take a trip real quick. It's all on me. And she said that it was all on her because she knew that part of the trouble that her friend had been in for the past like year, mostly caused by financial trouble. And so they go on this trip, and friend one, right, who's paying, who invites friend two on a trip, friend two has been having a hard time. Friend one is like, oh, I'm going to take you on a vacation. Let's have a good time. They get to, where did they go? Somewhere in the Caribbean. They get, I can't find it right now. They get to a Caribbean island, and it's beautiful. Like, apparently the hotel is nice and it's an all-inclusive and all of that stuff, but they flew Spirit. And friend two was upset and let the trip, like she was upset that the friend purchased a Spirit ticket. But the friend one said that she made sure that she paid for a check luggage so that the friend could check, you know what I'm saying? So that there were no surprises, so that she didn't have to come out her pocket for anything. And she said that they talked about it, and she was like, well, I just wanted to help you get away. And these were like the inexpensive tickets that I saw. And then I went from there. Like, I saw that the tickets were inexpensive first, and then I planned from there. It was like, oh, okay, well, I can afford these 2 flights for us to have a good time, get away for the weekend. And then we get there, and how sometimes trips start from like, oh, you know what I want? Ooh, I would love authentic pizza. Let's go to Italy. Like, ooh, I would just really love, I just really want to get some, good gold. Oh my God. Well, let's go to Turkey. Like, I don't know. Or I want to get a hair transplant, whatever, let's go to Turkey, whatever, fill in the blank. Or like, oh, I got I got this ticket that I got to use before this date. Let's go. So, what I'm saying? Like, trips start for all different reasons. So friend one is like, oh, I was just perusing the internet, and I saw this Spirit was offering these really cheap flights this place, and I knew that my friend needed kind of like a break. And so I'm like, oh, okay, if the flights are cheap, maybe I could find a good all-inclusive. I found a good all-inclusive, and let's like have like a good long weekend. Friend two, who I want to reiterate is having financial issues, or being stressed negatively in her life by finances, was upset that the friend booked them on Spirit, and so upset that it kind of lingered throughout the whole trip. And so friend one couldn't really enjoy the trip because friend two just kept kind of bringing it up like, and then, I mean, even if I do get comfortable, even if I do, like, I guess her friend said, I mean, like, the pool is nice, but at the end of it, I'm just getting on a Spirit. I'm just getting on a Spirit flight back home. I think this is a very simple one. I think that was wildly unreasonable, a wildly unreasonable response for your friend. The only way that I could see that as reasonable is if maybe your friend had a traumatic experience on flying Spirit. Like, so some of the things that I see with Spirit online are just like, I'm just like, oh my God, that's so low vibrational, you know? And it could happen on any airline, but it just seems like the things that make it to the internet and viral more often than not is at a Spirit gate or on a Spirit plane, at a Spirit baggage claim with a Spirit employee. Let me drink some water. That's why I keep in my Tabitha Brown for Target. Water bottle. Unless she had a really traumatic incident that happened to her on a Spirit flight, then I think that her response was so unreasonable. And if it's that bad, then don't go. Like, maybe you don't need a vacation. You know, maybe I was being too thoughtful. And like, now I know, you know, but I also think like you seem like a really reasonable friend, because that to me seems like a wonderful gesture. And if my friend did that, it would be all fun. I would make fun of it. And I'm a person that said I'll never fly Spirit again. I'll get on the road and drive for 32 hours before I get on a Spirit flight. That's what I've said. But if my friend was like, oh, you know, you've been having a tough time and I wanted to do something nice for you and it would just, the gesture would far exceed any kind of dislike I have for a specific airline, you know? So yeah, I thought it was, I thought that what you did was really reasonable. And I thought that your friend's response was unreasonable. And I think that you should let her know, you know, I think that you should let her know and let her know so that you can't, because if you're a giving person, I think it always sucks when someone takes advantage of a person, whether they mistreat them, they cheat on them, whatever, and it changes the positive person's disposition. I remember very early in a relationship, one of my first adult relationships, I remember my boyfriend at the time, I had found out he cheated on me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it to you so that you know how it feels. And he said to me, he was like, well, don't change who you are on account of me. Like, that's not even who you are. And like, he said that for his own selfish. He said that so that I would not cheat on him. You get what I'm saying? He said that to have his cake and eat it too, but it still resonated with me. It's like, yeah, the reasonable response isn't for me to step out of who I am. The reasonable response is to recognize this person is not for me and to remove myself from the situation. And so I never, if you're a friend that's so considerate that you're like, damn, my friend is going through it, and I saw this thing that I could do, this pretty big gesture, actually, as much as it might seem like flights were inexpensive, and she never told me the price. So it could have been inexpensive compared to any other flights. But like, when we think inexpensive Spirit, we thinking like, oh, the flights was like $42, right? But maybe the flights was like $300 each versus like $1,200 on Delta or something, right? So whatever it is, it was still very considerate. It was still very thoughtful. And sometimes when somebody is so unappreciative, somebody is so unreasonable, it can make you feel like you can't be that considerate and you can't be that thoughtful. And I don't want that to happen. So I think that you should have a really, honest conversation and let your friend know how unreasonable she was. And maybe she can give you some more insight into why she behaved the way that she did. And then with clarity and understanding from one another, you can keep moving forward in like a lovely, healthy friendship, or you may have to pivot, Tell me what you guys think. Let me know, if you think the friend was being reasonable or unreasonable. Like, is Spirit just that bad where it's like, if you know your friend don't like Spirit, then what you booking Spirit for? Like, talk about a backhanded vacation. I don't know. I don't even know if that's a term. Talking about a uncomfortable comfort. You know, I don't know. Let me know, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of I'm Reasonable. And yeah, next week I will be traveling again. No, not next week, the week after. Okay. Let me slow down. We'll get to it when we get to it. Before you go, if you haven't already, subscribe. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys send me in your Ask Z's, okay? So that I have a couple to choose from. So that I'm like, oh shoot, that if the episode gets too long, I got a short one that I could pull from real quick if I can't get to the longer ones. So you guys can always send in the Ask Z's to ZainabComedyVIP at Gmail, or you can send me a DM via Instagram. Yeah. And that's it. That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson. Until next time.
Yeah.